What's the trick? I wish I knew. I'm so done with thinking through all the things I could have been. And I know you want me to. All it takes is that one look at you, and I run right back to you. You cross the line, and it's time to say it.
We are gonna die!
With you, and that's that. 'Cause when it all falls down, then whatever. When it's all work out for the better.
Can I ask you a question with you about coral bleaching?
Yes.
What is the effect of coral bleaching on humans?
Well, the effects of coral bleaching on humans is in two ways. One, economically. A lot of people on our planet get food, earn money from fishing. And if the coral dies, the small fish die, and therefore the big fish die because their food source is now not around. So therefore the fishermen don't have anything to catch and sell for their own livelihood. Also tourism. A lot of people around the world, tourism is their #1 source of income. If the coral reefs go, nobody will want to go on a boat and go out snorkeling or scuba diving and to see the reefs because they're not alive anymore.
Thank you.
There we go.
Hello, Mr. Dustin. Can I interview you something about coral bleaching?
You want to ask me about coral bleaching?
Yeah.
Does that have to do with the teeth bleaching?
No.
No? Okay. Oh, coral bleaching. Yes, I think I understand. What do you want to know?
You know what happened major coral bleaching?
What happens when there's major coral bleaching? I think it's because the water of the ocean is too warm, and then it makes the algae that usually live inside the coral go away. Is that true?
Yeah.
And when the algae lives in the coral, it's beneficial to our planet because it creates a lot of oxygen. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, because of human consumption leading to a lot of human pollution, the earth is getting hotter, but also I think that the sun is on a hotter cycle. The sun is on a heat cycle. Sometimes the sun is hotter than other times, sometimes the sun is colder than other times. I think right now the sun is in a hot time. So we have two really bad things going against us as people, because all of the pollution we're making and the sun is causing a lot of problems with our environment that makes us lose stuff that we need to survive. Is that right? Is there anything else you want me to talk about?
What is the relationship between coral reef and humans?
Well, I just said that. Like, if it's not, since coral reef provides humans or just the world with a lot of oxygen, no oxygen equals no life. Very, very simple equation. No oxygen equals no life. Coral reef gives us oxygen. No coral reef equals no oxygen equals no life. Anything else?
What is the most recently event that coral reef bleaching worldwide?
You mean what thing happened that made coral reef bleaching like worse?
Yeah.
What made coral bleaching worse? I think I remember something about El Nino.
Yeah.
El Nino is like a global weather pattern that causes the oceans to be warmer. And I think so sometimes like during an El Nino cycle, in some of those years there isn't a lot of rain, and then
Goldberg is a marine biologist who has spent his life studying corals. More and more, his focus has been on climate change and the impact it will have on the world's reefs. But before I see how climate change will affect them, Ove wants to show me what's at stake. What greets me under the surface of the water blows my mind. The Great Barrier Reef is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and I can see why. And when I look closer, I see that reefs are supporting all of this life, providing food, shelter, and places to hide from predators. I'm realizing how interconnected everything is. Though they make up less than 1% of the ocean floor, reefs support 1/4 of all marine species. If climate change will alter the reefs, is all this life under threat?
We're seeing a change in the chemistry of the ocean that has no parallel in 65 million years, if not 300 million years. That's the last time it changed this quickly.
Ove explains to me that we've pumped more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere than there's ever been in human history. Scientists knew that this added CO2 was warming the oceans along with the rest of the planet. But what they only recently discovered was that about 1/3 of it ends up in the ocean. There, it combines with seawater to create a dilute acid. And here's the truly shocking part. Today's ocean is already 30% more acidic than it was before the Industrial Revolution.
And here's the kicker. It takes 10,000 years or more to reverse the changes that we've made already. That's the size.
It's an astonishing number.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're looking at an experiment we've been running over the last 12 months, and this experiment has been exposing parts of coral reefs to warmer and more acidic oceans. In this tank, we've just changed the acidity levels, adding CO2 to the water. The scientists working on this project have discovered that although they look well, when you actually look at the process of which they build their skeletons, and they've almost got a form of osteoporosis.
Right.
Now that's important because if you have a storm come through, these corals are going to break more easily. And so when you look at this next tank, now exposed to 12 months of 4 degrees Celsius above where it is today. And what you see here is that most of the corals are dead. Any coral that survived is bleached. You can see that.
Dramatic, frankly. Ove tells me that coral is actually an animal, and that inside its tissue, there are tiny brown algal-like organisms that provide up to 90% of the coral's energy. When the water gets too warm, the coral expels these organisms, becoming a ghostly white. That's bleaching.
So we've changed the acidity, changed the temperature, but what happens when we change both?
Oh my God.
This to me looks like death. Truly shocking. The stuff that we're not seeing is not that you didn't put it in here, it's that it's dissolved.
It's gone. It's gone. And
It's this.
Yep, it's sand. And that's the future we're on right now. Keep pumping CO2 into the atmosphere. This is what we're going to get.
What I see next makes me realize how close this threat is. Footage coming in from the northern sections of the Great Barrier Reef shows widespread bleaching already underway.
That is far worse than I thought it was.
In some regions, parts of the reef have already died and been taken over by the slime that Ove showed me in his future scenario tanks. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world is disappearing before our eyes, and with it, the support system for millions of sea creatures.
Up to this bleaching event, how much of the world's corals were lost?
In the Caribbean, it's very clear that we have lost probably 80% of corals since the 1970s.
Hold on. 80% of the corals in the Caribbean are already gone?
That's right. I think you can safely say that we've probably lost 40 to 50% of corals across the planet in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Within 20 or 30 years' time, you don't have coral anymore.
If we just continue as we're going right now, coral reefs will cease to exist by mid-century of this century.
Yep. 35 years from now.